Okay, you guys. So I've been really uh, anxious. That's the word. Anxious about what this series was going to be like, and the time has come. Let's talk American Horror Stories. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for American Horror Stories. This is season 1, episode 1. The show was actually entitled Rubber Wool Band Part 1. Okay, so here we go. Now, this has been a lot because we don't know exactly what the series is actually going to be like, or if it really had to do with the actual American Horror Story. Um, and I still don't really know. I still really don't know, but I will say this, and definitely spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, okay? Because that's just the way it's got to be, because I can't really explain to you or talk to you about what I watched without spoiling. So it is what it is. If you haven't watched the show yet and you're planning on watching it, like I said, spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Um, I definitely see that having knowledge of AHS is going to definitely help. It's going to help in your watching and add to how much you enjoy yourself. Though I think, and Ryan does a good job with this, it's something that I try to do in my writing as well, that you can actually pick up any of my books and start right from there, and you'll have an understanding of what's going on, but you would enjoy yourself more if you knew about the other books. So that's kind of something that I do. So I have like a great respect for that, and Ryan is very much that way. Um, so all that being said, Murder House. This whole first episode does go right back to the beginning. It goes back to Murder House and the legend of Murder House, and they speak of the legend of Murder House and the things that actually happened. So having some knowledge of the Murder House uh, part of AHS will help. Some of the imagery that we actually saw throughout the show, we remember from AHS. Not just one, but a couple different things. But some of the way that things were moving about and different things like that all go back to season 1 of AHS. Okay, so look, let's go into this. Scarlet. Scarlet is this little Caucasian 16-year-old girl with a beautiful head of red hair. Her hair red like my shirt. Red hair, and she has this really severe little bob. She looks like a red-headed Dora, but she's cute though. She has like a red-headed Dora, but she's cute. Okay, 16. Um, she's odd. She's odd and she's awkward. So right away, when I say her, you just kind of, she's kind of different. You know, look at her, a little different. And she's different in more ways than one. She has two dads, okay? So I don't know that they ever actually said their names, but we got the dark haired dad, which is really cute. And then we have the other dad with the light hair. Not as cute, but cool. They look like they're a cute couple. They're a cute couple. And they're just happy with each other. They're just gay, and they're just the whole picture of LGBTQIA plus family. Okay. Um, as I said, I'm sure we'll get more into their life as we go forth. I'm sure. Anyway, they literally are moving from wherever they were. They've purchased Murder House. Okay. These two have this really strong thing. We got into it right away. They don't believe in ghosts. They don't believe in spirits. They love Halloween. They love pranking and all of this stuff. They have all these ideas about throwing like slumber parties and haunted getaways and things like that and making money. Okay. And the house would be the perfect place for that, especially with the fact that the house actually has this history of being um, somewhat haunted, and these terrible 5 terrible situations have actually happened at the house. Now we found out right away Miss Scarlett, uh, she's 16, but she's pretty on top of what's going on with her. She's a bit of a lesbian, okay? So that's that. She likes girls. She has a crush on a girl named Maya, who is a very popular girl. Um, at the school, she's like an actress and some other little things. And then she has this one little friend, and I believe she's a lesbian too. She's like nerdy and kind of like a soft stud. But she seemed really fun and really, really cool. And they really kind of, uh, Scarlett's not really out. Okay. She's not really out. But we see right away, Maya's kind of flirting with her. Maya also has another set of friends. They're like 3 girls. They gave you very much the craft. Is what they look like to me. They look like the Spice Girls. They look like the craft. They were that whole picture. There was like 4 of them. They're like 4 bitches, and it's like, okay, cool. So right away, her friend, and the friend's name is Shanti. Shanti told her, she said, girl, be careful with her. I don't know about her. I don't know if she's really just fucking with you or if she's really flirting. And she's like, well, I don't know, it's that and the other. So then later on we see they're kind of like texting and stuff. So she's totally engaged, and she's telling her, I'm not out at school, this, that, and the other, but I do like you, and blah, 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 blah. So they're doing all this. This is all going on. Now, I told you, they're just moving into the house. First day at the house, Miss Scarlett finds the old rubber suit, honey. Y'all know the rubber suit. And so it's this full-on latex suit. She finds it, and I'm like, okay. And she seems so clean-cut. At first, I was like, girl, I know. She's like, what the hell is this? And we see this red ball. The red ball. We know the red ball, the red gag balls. I said, anytime you see that red ball and that suit is around, there is issues, honey. Well, I mean, issues for some, interests for others. Baby, I was sitting there like this, honey. Ain't no issue for me, baby, but it's definitely going to be an issue for somebody else, and I'm interested to see what their issue is going to be, honey. So I was like, okay, let's go. Chop, chop, let's go. So then that damn Scarlett goes and puts the suit on. Baby, when I tell you, Miss Scarlett, Miss Scarlett, when I say that bitch was wearing this black leg, when she zipped it up, I said, Miss Scarlett, you had better do it. You better do it, Miss Thing. She was giving you your whole Catwoman fantasy built down. Looked fabulous in the suit, okay? Put the little hood on, and everything was like, okay, whatever. She went to look at herself in the mirror, okay? And in the mirror, it was very quick. It was very quick. And it looked like a mirror image, but it didn't look like a mirror image. I said, that looks like a man. Because the chest was, because she's not heavy busted, but the chest looked flatter and the body looked a little bit more broad. And the person looked back at her. It wasn't her, it was like, it was someone else. And they kind of looked at her like this. And I said, what's going on? And it cut out there. And that's when we went into the actual intro of the show, which is phenomenal. The whole intro of this episode, I don't know if that's the full intro of the show, but episode 1, the intro is phenomenal. it's like all of this latex, and it looks like someone actually squeezing themselves into a latex suit. It's beautiful. The imagery is just beautiful and sexy, yet eerie. It's phenomenal. It was phenomenal. Just black liquidy latex, and I was here for it. So that was really cool. Anyway, so I was like, something's up with that. I don't know what's going on, but I burned it to memory. I said, let's go. So then there ends up being a conversation with the fathers. It's like really odd, but there's this conversation, and they're telling her, we basically, we had caught you watching porn a little while ago, and you've been lying to us. You said you weren't going to do it anymore, but you've been doing it. And it's not just you watching porn, but it's the type of porn that you're watching. And let me skip back, because there was a conversation at school, and Scarlett had answered a question, and the question, she went real deep with the question, and people were just looking at her when she was saying how people, it had to do with fear, and she was saying that people, fear is easy to get over. It's really is the thing. She said people be over, they get over their fears all the time, like flying and different things like that. They get over the fear, she said, but it's more a thing. People really have more of an issue with shame than they do with fear. And then that's right after that is when we really found out that she kind of, she was a lesbian and this kind of thing. We seen her masturbating, and in her masturbating and fantasizing, she was fantasizing about Maya, but her fantasy went dark, and it really ended when she climaxed. She was basically choking the shit out of Maya, like choking her out. That was, I said, okay, you're different. You're different. You're different all the way around. You got some things going on. So anyway, now let's go back to the fathers having the conversation. Now they said they had hired an IT tech to actually pull everything from their IP address to see what was actually going on and what's being accessed, and that's what they found. Her porn watching is like really laced to pain and shame and violence, and they have an issue. They're like, you're too young. Something, they're like, we've seen a lot of things, but just the level of the violence that you are watching, it concerns us, and we're going to see a counselor, period. We're going to put a parental lock on things, and that's just that, and we're going to see a counselor. So that was that. Keep in mind also, she threw the suit away. When she seen the mirror image, she took the suit outside and threw it away. Threw it away. So she ended up she got invited to this party over at Maya's house, okay? And that was that. And once there was, they told her they were going to punish her. I'm jumping around. But they told her they were going to punish her because she lied. And she said, that's fine. I don't have a problem with the punishment, but I'm supposed to go to a party, and I really like this girl, and this, that, and the other. You can't carry out the punishment and not let me go to the party. You just can't do it. It just, you can't. They were like, that's fine. You can go to the party, but there's going to be a punishment. But they were lenient with it for that. And they mentioned a parental lock, okay? So they mentioned a parental lock. And that was that. So they went ahead on, and later on that night, there was a situation where she went to her closet. We see the red ball again. Went to her closet. The suit was in the closet. She goes, takes the suit down, and she puts the suit back on again. This time, when she puts the suit on, her eyes turn black. Now, I have to tell you all, listen, don't judge me, but the imagery on that, when her eyes turn black, her eyes being black like that, in the latex suit with her red hair, I was like, oh. It was so beautiful to me. I was like, it was so dark and so evil and so sinister. I was like, Oh my gosh, what is going on here? So sinister. Like, I mean, her eyes were stone cold, like black. And all this black and red. And I was like, girl, yes, honey. So I said, what's she great did? So the next thing I know, girl, you see her go in the kitchen and she didn't grab the knife. The fathers are in the bedroom. One of them, they have a bathroom in their room. The one that has the longer light hair was in the shower. The other father, the cute one, was actually laying on the bed. And she just literally walks up into the door and opens the door. And she goes into the room and scares the shit out of him. Now, keep in mind, remember they were saying they're not scared, they're not this, that, and the other. And he like jumps up and he's like, hey, hey, what are you? Who are you? What the? And all of this kind of thing. And the other father comes out of the bathroom and they're standing there like, you get out of our house, this, that, and the other. She takes and she unzips the hood and then they see it's her. She's like laughing like a little kid. And he's like, Scarlett, now that's not funny. Why would you scare us like that, this, that, and the other? And she's like, I thought y'all said y'all want to scare. Y'all don't believe in ghosts and spirits and all that stuff, this, that, and the other. And he told her, you know, the other father, the longer haired father, he like had an attitude. He was like pissed off. And he's like, go take that off. I don't ever want to see that again. It's ridiculous. That again, like you're doing too much. Like you shouldn't even, where did you even get that from? Why would you have an S&M suit, this, that, and the other? Again, she is 16. So he went to reach for her and she sliced him with the knife. It was a butcher knife. She sliced him with the butcher knife. And she said, I'm so sorry. It was an accident. I said, then I looked and I said, mm-mm. And they're like, we got to go. They literally had to go to urgent care. He had to get, I think he had like 6 stitches, 6 or 16. No, I think it was 6 stitches. He had stitches. But I said that, I said, the house has a hold of her. Like there is a possession that has gone on with Scarlett. And she said, you know, when he asked about the suit, she said, I've seen the suit before and I threw it away, but I thought you all had put it in my room. And they're like, no, you know. And then she told him, he's like, get rid of it, this, that, thing, and the other. She's like, no, I'm not. I'm keeping it, you know, this, that, thing, and the other. Of course, they just said, girl, go on. They had to go to urgent care. So that was that. So the next thing we actually see Scarlett with the two dads, and there's an African American woman who comes and she is the counselor. And they sat with her and they're talking about everything very openly, very freely about what's going on. And then they start to tell the story. She says, you know, maybe it's some past trauma or something. There's something in some explanation to why she's leaning toward that type of porn, you know, whatever. And she really didn't have any answers. And they start telling the story of how back when Scarlett was 3 years old, she was kidnapped for 3 days. The other father, the longer haired father, was actually at the grocery store and he put Scarlett into the car seat first. And then he went around to the other side of the car and he was going ahead and putting the groceries into the car. This was really, really stupid because why you turned the car on, I have no idea. But he turned the car on and goes and puts the groceries into the car. And someone came, and it was actually a woman, came and knocked him down, busted his mouth, and stole the car with Scarlett inside. She had Scarlett for 10 days. 10 days. And then there was like a manhunt for Scarlett and all of this. They end up finding out there was a woman who ended up bringing this 3-year-old to, that's how they caught her. She brings the 3-year-old to um, a doctor, you know, to be checked out. And they found nothing. There was nothing wrong with her or anything like that. But there's always been questions about what happened or what did she see in that time. Found out that the woman had literally um, lost her own child. Her child was murdered. It was a little girl, same age, had been murdered like 5 days before it had happened. I think it was 5 days before it had happened or whatever. But no physical harm to her, but they didn't know whether she had been molested has she seen anything? She's 3 years old. She doesn't remember anything. So I said, again, burned that to memory and said, well, maybe we'll get some more of that story somewhere down the line. Maybe she'll have some flashbacks or something. Anyway, so and all of that ends up happening, and that's that. And they're like, she says, well, I got to end the session here because I have another client and another. They're like, can we just buy, like, it was getting good. They were like, can we just, like, purchase another hour? She's like, no, I have another appointment. But then she asks, can I use the bathroom? And she says, yeah, sure. And when the lady goes to go use the bathroom, they say to Scarlett, you know, this whole thing about with the stitches and all of that. They were like, that party that we had said that you would be able to go to, that's off. You're not going to the party. He has these stitches, like you really went too far with that whole thing. And he was really pissed off. He was pissed off with her. And she had told them, she's like, you know what? Fuck you both. And she said, I wish I had just never got found. I wish I would have just stayed with the person that kidnapped me. And the dark haired father, the cute one, he was like, yeah, so I said, oh. She didn't hear him though. She had stormed off. He said, so do we. So it's a little different. So I don't know. Again, I want to know more about this story. I want to know, is she like a regular adoption, or did he actually, is the longer haired one the actual biological form? What's going on with the thing? Because one is more lenient to her, and the other one maybe isn't. But for some reason, I think she leans more to talking with the darker haired one. So it's kind of seeming like that the longer haired one seems like the biological, because everything is so much more personal for him. And he gets angrier at her, it seems. Though the other one seems like a mother more, like a stepmother or something. But I don't know. But then again, and then his patience is a little shorter with her too. But anyhow, so that was that. She had cussed him out. She went on about her business. Now, in the midst of all of this, we see the red ball. And the black woman, I don't know where they found this black woman at. She already said she thinks that there might be some trauma. She said, moving into a house like this house that has the history, sometimes it plays on your psyche. Just knowing that things had actually happened there and all that. And any of that could have shaken her up to make her be acting out and this kind of thing. So they're like, yeah, whatever. I don't think so. So she goes to the bathroom. Scarlett done went on upstairs. The next thing we know, we see the lady, her nebby ass, sees the red ball. And then the door to the basement's open. Now she nabbing. Now I don't know what black woman this is, because I'm not nabbing. First of all, I'm not even going there. If I knew about the history of the house and all that, I wouldn't be doing the history. I wouldn't be going to do the session at your house. They'd have had to come to me. So we would never had that problem. See, I ain't playing all the games. I'm not afraid of ghosts and spirits. I believe in them. I do. I believe in spirits. I believe in ghosts. But I also believe in respecting them and letting them have their space. And I'm not invading your space. I don't care what you're doing. Whatever you're doing is your business. It has nothing to do with me. I just want to mind my own fat ass business. And we should all be fine. And that's that. I ain't got no issues. I ain't got no problem with voodoo or any of that stuff. I got no problem with the voodoo that you do. Just don't do me, honey. I don't got no problem with it. Believe in all of it. I really do. I believe in every bit of it. But I also believe that there's a respect level. And mind your own fat ass business and you won't have no problems. But anyway, so I said it. Moving on. People get jacked up because they be nabby as hell. Like girlfriend, she was nabby as hell. She went to that basement door and she went to go look down that basement. And the next thing you know, her throat got slit by a male in the plastics, in the latex suit. It was definitely a male, wider, more broader than Scarlett. It was not Scarlett. Slit her goddamn throat and kicked her ass down them basement steps. Now, shortly after that, this was kind of weird. So I was like, Ryan, what's going on? The cute father ended up finding the suit because the suit was just laying there, and there was blood. But you don't see, and nobody ever hears anything. This house is huge, but nobody ever hears shit. That's the other thing. They ain't heard a whole body going boom, 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 boom down the steps, and y'all know y'all had company. But whatever, y'all right down the hall. That was some bullshit. But okay, yeah, whatever. So the suit is there, and there's some blood. And the lady has said she'll let herself out. So that was the other thing. That was where they were setting it up. She said, I'll let myself out. Who really just lets people just walk around their house like that? Surely not me. You won't be letting yourself out of here, honey. I'll be, escorting you the hell on up out of here. Be roaming around my house. But anyway. So that was that. He seen the suit. There was some blood. And he got with the other father. They took the suit, threw it in the fire. Set it on fire, threw it right into the fireplace. He said, but where'd the blood come from? He said, maybe her, maybe she came from her period or something. I said, child, that's a whole different type of blood, honey. But anyway, whatever, what do they know? They're gay men. You ain't supposed to know, but that's different kind of blood, child. But anyhow, the blood from your discharge and from your throat, and that's a whole bunch of blood. You slit somebody's throat. Anyway, we ain't gonna get into all that. It's just a story. Let's go. So that's that. So later on that night, the fathers are up there sleeping. Of course she's pissed. Okay, Miss Scarlett is pissed. But she sneaks out. And she goes over to Maya's house. And she's over there with Maya, and they're going to have this little session, and this, that, and the other, and she tells her, she gets to explain about porn and the kind of porn, and she told her she's a virgin and all of this, and she's like, oh, really? She's like, yeah. And she's like, well, do you like, she said, we can watch porn or something. She says, oh, I don't know, I don't think you might not like the kind of porn that I like. Tell her the shame, okay? So she tells her, no, you can trust me, whatever, go ahead and tell me. So she's telling her all about the type of porn she likes, and she's really opening up to her. Her phone keeps going off. Keep going off. And she gets really deep into the story about how she likes the bondage and the violence of it all and this, that, and the other. And the phone kept going off, and she looks back, it's Shanti messaging her saying, stop, leave now, stop, leave now. Here it is, they didn't set her up. The three girls are over in another room. They're all filming. There was a camera set up. She starts to see, because she all hot in her pussy, and she ain't seen none of this stuff. But she started noticing, you've been set up. It's streaming live. And she was in the car. She left. She ran, got in the car. She's having this whole breakdown. She ends up going home. She calls Maya back and tells, she had told Sean, she's like, my life is over. She's like, this is terrible. How much did you hear? She's like, I heard it all. She said, well, what did the comments say? She's like, girl, just don't read them. So that's that. She ends up calling Maya back, tells Maya, listen, she threatens her. She told her about the story of another girl or a person that committed suicide over some stuff like this, and how it really screwed up their lives. She said, you all's lives, as you know it, will be completely over if you don't come over to my house. I'll give you 30 minutes to get over to my house, this, that, thing, and the other. Or I'm going to commit suicide, and I'm going to leave a note saying how you set me up, and it's that, thing, and the other, and your lives are going to be completely over. It's going to be ruined. So come on over. Baby, they come on over. Now here's the other part. Now the two dads are asleep. Again, nobody wakes up. There's all this screaming in the house. There's all these doors slamming. Long story short, honey, she's texted them, come down to the basement. They go down to the basement. Like I said, old girl has become one with the house. She has completely become one with the house. The house is now in full murder effect. It's in full murder house effect. It's working along with her to do what it is that she set out to do. When I tell you she killed these 4 bitches, she slayed their asses. Do you hear me? I mean, baby, she was cutting, slicing, and dicing and jamming their asses. I said, oh, child tore their asses up, and all in it you would see like different characters that were in the murder house, like popping out, scaring them and moving them and making them, shaking them. And really, the house was literally working with her to commit these 4 murders. She fucked them up, honey. So that was that. And then you see after she gets done with all of that, that was done. And you seen her, the very last girl, there's 2 girls laying in the middle of the floor, and you see her, she takes off her hood, and you see that it's definitely Scarlett who was doing all the cutting and the dice, and honey, she just took that last girl and just tore her ass up. I was like, oh, girl, she tore her up, honey. So that was all down in the basement, okay? So then we see like daybreak. The fathers all asleep. They missed the whole thing. We see daybreak, okay? And we see her talking. She's like doing some work or something, and then she's talking. We see the lady, and she's fine, the black lady who was the counselor, and she's saying, we need to really have a session here, Scarlett. We need to have a session and talk about what really went on. You know, she's like, talk about what? She's like, you just murdered 4 girls. We need to talk about your feelings. She said, well, talk about what? I've never felt better. And you know when you get murdered inside of the murder house, you're stuck there. You're stuck there. Like you're not always in your current state. Like you'll be, like she's all clean, like the black woman was all cleaned up, but she's stuck in the house. Like she's just there. That's just her space now. So she ends up leaving out of that room, and she turns around, she opens up this door, and when she opens the door, there is the male figure standing there in the black outfit. And he says to her, he says to her, he gives her that look like he did in the mirror in the very beginning. I said, so it's kind of like she has been possessed by the house. She has become one with the house, and it seems as though she is like his protege at this point. I said, oh my, oh my. And that was that. And, you know, she sees her fathers and, you know, tells them that everything's fine, and you know, she's sorry about what she did, and you know, on and on and on. And they don't know, they don't have a clue about anybody that's been dead in the house. This, that, thing, and the other. And she answers a question that they had when they asked her, when you're having these fantasies and all of this, are you watching from the point of the person giving the abuse or the person taking the abuse? And she went ahead and answered the question. I'm looking and enjoying from the person giving the abuse. I said, oh, come through, Miss Scarlett, honey, Miss Scarlett. So yeah, that is it. That is episode 1. I don't know where we're going, but I'm going to go ahead because episode 2 is available to stream. I'm going to go watch it, and I'll tell you where we're going. I don't know if we're going to continue on with Scarlett's story or if the next story is a whole different story, because that was my understanding of what this really was going to be. Like it was going to be individual separate stories, but I don't know. When I come back and do the review for the second one, I'll tell you what I found out. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.